Good evening.
Good evening.
It is the last of 30 talks. And it's good that we're ending with the Pseudo-Dionysius' great work, the Theologia Mystica. It is something I enjoy very much. It's a very short work. I've made copies of 2 translations for you. And what we're going to do is open it up, take a look at it, and see how it's built. Because we're going to go someplace with it. But first, why is there a problem? Why is there a theology of mysticism? Why is a theological, mystical treatise? We could ask it in another way.
There should be any theology at all.
Just mystical? Just mystica?
Yeah.
Mysticism.
No. The reason you need a theologia is to have a mysticism. That's where we're going to have to.
I'm going to be convinced.
Good. Let's make it even clearer. All right. This is really the need for theology in order to have a mysticism. Not any theology, but a Platonic theology. Because there is an underlying problem that makes theology necessary. Not to anyone, but people are going to play this game. Here's the problem. Here is the central problem. And I think this is the only problem there is. Okay. What I want to show here is that there is no way you cannot experience. You're always experiencing. What's the problem? And that is, what we believe we can do is to function with that experience in such a way that we can preserve the experience itself. We think we can function with it because we think we have grasped the nature of the experience, and so we can function with it without impediment and difficulty. That's not the case. All right, here's the basic theory right here, see? The reality is that we have a filter, and this filter is highly interpretive, and therefore we don't really experience things directly. We experience it through that filter. And the great problem is that ideally what we would like to do is to be able to understand the experience in itself. Have it, preserve it, and to do that, to be able to do that, really means that that filter is not there, the screen is not there, that we've been able to eliminate it. Now, if you understand the experience, that means you have a set of things that you understand here. All right? You have the experience, whatever it is, the everyday world, and there should be a way to match the experience you're having with the categories, the ideas, and the thoughts, the images that you have. To the degree that there's a difference between the two, to that degree there's a distortion. To the degree that there's a distortion, to that degree you're not really able to experience the nature of your reality, nor can you understand it. So our great dream is we want to match the experience as purely as we can with our understanding. But our personal history, our culture, our religious beliefs, our own personal backgrounds create this map, create this screen, create this filter. Now look here, here's the basic theory. As one understands, so one acts. You don't possess the experience, you possess your understanding of it. Because after the experience, whatever it is you understand whatever you understand, is through that filter. This filter provides the grounds for the experience. It also provides your recollection of it. The filter creates what you think you experienced. The filter creates what you think you experienced. That's the problem. So you don't possess the experience, you possess your understanding of it. Therefore, it's only natural that this is the case, that you have to control and discipline the mind in order to minimize that influence. Because if you could experience truly, then you would see things just the way they are. Now, here we go into this curious work. How do you control and discipline the mind? There are two ways, two traditions. One is the Greek, the Hellenistic, or the Hellenic tradition. It's called emptying the mind. Essentially, it's detaching consciousness from its objects. How do you do that? Here. By the proper naming of things frees the mind and naturally draws it to its proper objects. If you have misnamed something, then you're calling something something else, and you're reacting to it as if it were the something else. By proper naming, you free the mind from that distorting device, and as a consequence, the mind is naturally drawn to its proper objects, reflects it, and you can reflect upon it. Against this view is another one, where you focus the mind on an object. This is a restraint, restraining the mind, keeping it there on one object. And typically we can therefore look at it in terms of any kind of yoga, that's the restraining device. Or you can take it in terms of the pranayama, the most basic meditation technique, which is you focus on your breathing. Focus on the breath. If you focus on the breathing, you're trying to restrict your mind in such a way that the mind will follow the breath. And if it follows the breath, you know what it does? It pulls away from identifying with ideas and images and thought processes. That's the goal. Pull it away from here, focus it here. Put your mind in the belly. Breathe nothing other than move. Focus on the breath. That's restraint. This other thing is rather curious, because this is the Hellenic way. Let's take a look at it, because this is what the Theologica Mystica is doing. Now, you can just go through with me with the text you have in front of you. I'm using primarily the Alan Watts translation. I'm going to make a couple of changes as we go through it. But essentially, this is the way he's going to start. What's his goal? How to control the mind and discipline the mind by dealing with the mind itself, not by focusing on an object. That's restraint. So he starts out by setting out the goal. The goal is, he talks about that Trinity beyond being. It's the Godhead.